One of our brethren some years ago spoke of the payment of tithing as fire insurance. Nonetheless, the word of the Lord is clear that those who do not keep the commandments and observe the laws of God shall be burned at the time of his coming. For that shall be a day of judgment, a day of sifting, a day of separating the good from the evil. I would venture a personal opinion that no event has occurred in all the history of the earth as dreadful as will be the day of the second coming, as fraught with the destructive forces of nature, as consequential for the nations of the earth, as terrible for the wicked, and as wonderful for the righteous.
The Lord wants all his children to partake of the eternal blessings available in his temple. He has directed what each person must do to qualify to enter his holy house. All requirements to enter the temple relate to personal holiness. To assess that readiness, each person who wants to enjoy the blessings of the temple will have 2 interviews. First, with a bishop, bishopric counselor, or branch president. Second, with a stake or mission president or one of his counselors. In those interviews, several questions will be asked. Some of those questions have recently been edited for clarity. I would like to review them for you now. Are you a full tithe payer?
Travis Wayne Goodsall. Because of the cyber terrorism through YouTube that spread to my computer yesterday, I'm late on getting to the news from yesterday and today. And so we've got some breaking news yesterday. We'll only cover the local news here in Utah, as there's others. So we'll see if I can slip them into other videos. The ones that deal with the church that's Utah News. Everything deals with the church. We have the social media people in Congress today. And you say, well, that's not Utah News, Travis. That's not the church. Yes, it is. The church is the one who started this. They've been on a kick on trying to ban porn as their push to silence all forms of communication. See, social media is a communication outlet. It was involved to assist in taking down the George Floyd murderers, the cops, because people pulled out their cell phones and made recordings directly to social media of the cops murdering a man in custody, a black man. And so our government and the church has been trying to cut communications for we the people so that we don't get those in power in trouble again. As the church previously, when cell phones first came out, were upset that people were using it to record phone conversations with church leaders and bishops, disciplinary councils, and excommunication meetings, and interviews with a bishop of a sexually graphic nature. And so, yeah, the church has always been wanting to shut down communications. They don't like getting exposed for criminal behavior. And so they've been trying all sorts of ways to manipulate the laws to try to get this to go. And they always go to the fallback, which is, they think, the easiest way to do it. Porn. Which was in the temple the whole time. Lucifer's plan of happiness is blame porn. And everything is solved by covering up and hiding your crimes and body, which is evil, women. Your body is evil. Cover it up. You're porn. You're a threat. And so they tried to do a threat to adults. They've been trying that approach forever. Because prior to the internet, little children are unable to access porn. And if you know Utah, down south of the border of the valley is Utah County, where you'll notice a big difference on the poster board signs on the freeway. There's a big change. And so, yeah, the Utah County has banned women's magazines. Women's magazines. Not porn. Women's magazines banned from the checkout stands. Because the homemakers are offended and believe that their husband's going to cheat on them now. And violate his temple covenants. And it's harmful to children. This argument is just stupid. It's idolatry. But nonetheless, it's the church's go-to. Because they purposely deceive Mormons about our bodies and our sexual natures and our basic necessities for perpetuating the human race. And that causes rape. And so the social media giants in Congress are having to answer questions about the threat of porn on social media to breastfeeding toddlers who apparently get access to a cell phone to search for porn. It's harmful to children who are breastfeeding. See what I mean? It's a stupid argument. There is no harm. The harm with social media is you got these unicorn trolls who are belittling teenagers, causing them to commit suicide because they believe these dumbasses who are just trolling for the sake of trolling to see how many they can murder. I told you, my peers had been talking about this. Not just raping girls, not about their racism towards blacks and Mexicans, because I'm there in Southern California. They're also talking about murder. How to murder people. Little kids are talking about how to get away with murder, how to get away with rape, how to get away with torture, getting them to do it with the power of suggestion from psychology. And so, yeah, I saw this coming. And they're teaching their children, and their children are being taught. So that as my peers are now grandparents, I'm still seeing in the news that their grandchildren are still perpetuating the family legacy. breaks my heart that little teen girls are committing suicide because YouTube says that their fashion try-on is adult content. The problem can be fixed by getting rid of the thumbs up and down and making everybody hold all comments for review, so that unicorn trolls don't target commenters without the creator's knowledge of the trolling. Anyway, so that's on Capitol Hill. There's also a bill going through the legislature here in Utah for bishops to report when a Mormon priesthood leader confesses to raping little kids and having to keep it a sacred secret because the church says don't tell. As the church is okay with this bill because they've worded it so that a bishop can choose if he wants to tell or not. And so the church is okay because the church tells their bishops no. As long as the legislature allows the bishops to say no, church is okay with it. You got to pay attention. They use the Catholic example here on ABC 4 News Utah, talking about it. That, oh, it's those Catholics who are denying their priests from revealing what is talked about in confessional. Those priests here in Utah, those Catholics. The only problem in Utah is with the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. The Catholics here in Utah are more righteous than the Mormons. And so then the big one, which nobody else covered, just ABC 4 News Utah. That's weird. Usually it's Fox 13 News Utah that's doing this, but last several days, Fox 13 News Utah are putting up advertising, which ABC 4 News Utah still does. You got Nuzzles and Company, which is cute. And Harmon's has a cheese tapas 3 ways. Well, is that sexual? And then Plexiderm. I've warned you about this. Plexiderm's still going full steam ahead. Anybody who does weights for a living, moderately, not extremist weights, but extremist weights is a perfect example. Arnold Schwarzenegger. What happened to him in his old age? He is a professional bodybuilder his whole life. What happened to his body in his old age? It sags. And so, what happens with Plexiderm? Your face is sagging. It's melting. And so you rub it on, it tightens the skin. That's all it's doing, is tightening the skin. But it's a product that you have to keep using to keep buying it, which means it's going to wear off and you're going to have to use it again. What happens to your skin and your body when you do weights and get all tight and firm and then let yourself go, get all flabby and saggy, and then tighten and firm again, and then flabby and saggy? What happens? The flabby and saggy gets worse over time because you're stretching out the skin. Mothers know this very well. as of babies. This is the same problem with Plexiderm. You use Plexiderm once, and you'll have to use Plexiderm for the rest of your life to prevent worse sagging from not using it. It's purposely designed to addict and cause pain and suffering and money loss. Love yourself for who you are and accept that you're old. And keep it away from kids and young adults. Dear God, you do not need it. But they won't tell you. And so, with Armageddon coming up, you will never be able to buy Plexiderm ever again. So if you're an addicted Plexiderm user, well, yikes. Oh, but Travis, there's plastic surgery. Seriously? Dear God, stop. Think about nuzzles. Yes, I'm purposely dragging out the big story, which I told you in the front of the video and blah, 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 blah. I make you listen, because you don't listen. You think you know better. And, oh, yesterday was also a murdering cop celebration here in Utah. We celebrate the murders of cops in Utah. That's what they said, the anniversary. And a 19-year-old girl is missing in American Fork Canyon. That's sad. And Alana Brophy is going to dark colors. Alana, come on. And anything else? They're going to regulate transgender inmates. They're going to segregate them in the jails now. And yeah, Cox is the poster boy for the social media of toddlers breastfeeding and using their cell phones while they're breastfeeding to look at porn. Governor Cox, third great-grandson of descendant Danite, purposely put in at this time for Armageddon while everybody's face will sag because they're using Plexiderm, advertised by ABC4 News Utah, who don't care about you. Oh my God. And then they purposely did not send me my ballot to put in the other guy. So Erin Mendenhall, wife of, third great grandson descendant of Danite. I did the videos. I checked. Church released the names of the Danites who murdered Joseph Smith. So all these Mormons claim they love Joseph Smith, and yet they don't even follow him. It's weird. Like Section 119. Let's get to that big news story now. Yeah, Section 119 is all about tithing. For some reason, Joseph Smith in 1838, when he decided to become the leader of the Danites and murder Mormons, have an election fraud and couped his own church, for which he was wrongfully arrested, so that Brigham Young had to step up and take over the church. Because Thomas B. Marsh was not excommunicated by Joseph, or not chased out of the church by the Danites. It was milk scrapings, as Joseph Smith from jail excommunicated him for defending his wife's honor. Wasn't for the Danites. Nope, not at all. Because why would Hinckley and Monson both lie to us? So, section 119, for some reason, says that Joseph Smith is now practicing priestcraft, being told by Jesus, we're doing away with the Book of Mormon, it's no longer our keystone, we don't need that anymore. Why are we using it as missionaries again? Because section 119 is the new law of tithing, priestcraft, and a whole long list of other stuff that I have for a video for you. And so, yep, here we go again. James Huntsman was the second concerning tithing. They don't consider mine. I'm ignored. After all, I did lose. No duh. It's Utah. Of course I lost. And so you get the whistleblower for Ensign Peak Advisors who comes out, exposes that the church is committing all sorts of crimes and is hoarding trillions of dollars, not multi-billions. As YouTube videos talking about the top richest churches in the world always had the church way down low. Oops! Church tricked ya. Yep, they are number one in the wealthiest church in the world, even over Catholics. Yeah, Catholics, petty change. The church has been amassing trillions. And so, yeah, they're now talking about how there's corporations that are now trillionaires. Nothing compared to the church and what they are hoarding. But anyway, then James Huntsman sued the church. That's considered number one. And then last year, I haven't heard anything since on that one, but there's another couple of guys who got together and are suing the church over tithing again. And so now a third. It's a couple in California. Judson, I think it is. They've been members for decades, so they're not born in the Covenant Mormon. They've converted to the church. In Southern California, or in California, I didn't hear if it was Southern California or whatever. They're now suing the church because they found out, finally, since 2019, with the whistleblower and the big news of James Huntsman, and they finally found out that their money is being used for criminal activity. It's called money laundering for the City Creek Mall. And so they're suing. Another lawsuit against the church. Before conference. Well, any lawsuit is always before conference. Mine was the week before conference. Yep, I had the receipts. They were using it for Judas money, Judas payments. And I got them. And I still lost. Because it's in Utah. All the federal judges are compromised to the church and refuse to recuse themselves. But then who's going to take the case? That's the dilemma. So yeah, that's it. But they need to make sure to call tithing for what it is, an extortion racket. Do not call it donations. If you call it donations, the court will dismiss it before you even begin. Tithing is not a donation. Section 119 makes this very clear. It is a law and an order from Jesus. You must pay. It is not a donation. And nobody seems to get this. Not James Huntsman, Not the two guys, not the Ensign Peak advisor whistleblower, not these couple. I don't know about their case, but nobody seems to catch on. Section 119 says it's not a donation. That's all you need to use. You can use RICO against the church to take it down for its extortion racket. There's receipts galore. There's a money trail galore. Just use Section 119 and the church falls. You just have to do it out of Utah. Not in Utah, outside of Utah. And preferably further away than where the church dominates. You know, not Colorado, not Arizona, not Nevada, not Idaho, not Wyoming. You know, New York. Do it in New York. Chicago even. They know all about the mafia in Chicago. They can handle it. That's all you gotta do. Section 119. It's an extortion racket. It is an order and a law for Mormons to pay up. And so, yeah, this is another failed thing because they're going to call it a donation. I'm willing to bet. So, don't let your breastfeeding children look at porn on social media.